So welcome, and tonight on Make Some Noise with Doug De Jong, which would be me, we have an awesome luthier who lives on the Gold Coast here, and we're going to go through his workshop virtually. We had to solve some technical situations to do that with the internet. And he makes guitars. He also does hardcore repairs of guitars, and we've got some photos to sort that out, which is quite mind-blowing. And before we get right into it, please like and subscribe on YouTube, YouTube/Doug De Jong, and also Doug De Jong Music, please. I need some friends. So here we go. Without further ado, Pete, how you going, sir? Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, good, Doug. How are you, mate?
Yeah, great.
My name's Pete Walcott. I build guitars here in Mudbury Bar. Have done since about 2009. I build the guitars. Service guitars, restore guitars. Just really love the music, love the guitars, love what I do.
And you've got a pretty full-on workshop back there. And is there anything like about the tooling? I know that you've got some pretty cool tools in there that you've done that's special.
Yeah, well, I'm an ex-timber shipwright. That's how I learned my woodworking skills. I started as a timber shipwright back in '75, and of course, being a musician and being able to make things out of wood, it was only natural I started building my own guitars. But the most awesome piece of machinery I have there is my grandfather's bandsaw. I have no idea how old it is. I had to restore that before I could use it. And I've got all his tools, my grandfather's tools, up above the place to remind me of my heritage.
Wow!
Your normal woodworking tools, planes, chisels, spoke shaves, and of course all the specialty tools for luthiery that I needed to buy over the last 15 years or so. Files, jigs, all that sort of stuff.
Yep. Wow, that's awesome. And I've just shared, sorry, just multitasking. So I've just shared it. So if anyone else is, please, there's Mark Navin. How you going, Mark? Good to see you, sir. If anyone's got any questions as we're going to go through a virtual tour of Pete's workshop, please ask the questions. I think I need to get like a lackey myself because I find it difficult to try and share and, do everything myself. But before we go on, maybe can you tell us about your background building ships, right? Which is pretty full on. And whereabouts did you do that?
On the northern beaches of Sydney. I grew up in a place called Newport. Went to Pittwater High School, and started my apprenticeship as a timber shipwright or boat builder. The old saying is a shipwright builds boats over 100 feet, and boat builders build boats under 100 feet. I specialised. Okay. I specialised in probably 30 to 45 foot yachts is what I built, and had some fantastic mentors, some of Australia's best. I'm very lucky to end up where I ended up, hence my attitude towards things are supposed to happen for a reason, and you sort of end up where you end up for that reason. And so, I did my apprenticeship there, and then started my own business, Whitewater Yacht Constructions.
Hey, Sabrina.
And it worked till about 2003 there, and then I got a job as the head lecturer for Southeast Queensland in marine craft construction. So I worked at TAFE for a while. Yeah.
So you actually have a background in lecturing. Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I lectured for about 10 years on, I used to go lecture at Riviera Cruises, all over the place. I had, on my books, I had about 300 apprentices, I guess.
That is sensational.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good thing to be able to pass on the knowledge. Yeah, it was great. So, but, I couldn't stay in that system for very much longer. And I was sort of part-time building my guitars and building up Walcott guitars. I sort of really didn't leave TAFE until about 2012. And
hey, guy. Been
doing it full time ever since. Yeah.
And we got our first question there. we got our first question there. Sorry,
Okay. Do you,
Pete.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Do you prefer to build
acoustic guitars or electric? My passion lies in acoustic guitars. The process in building an acoustic guitar is much more complicated than most electric guitars. Most electric guitars, you pick the right materials, you do a good job of building it, you do a good job of the neck and the playability of the instrument, and then the rest is left up to the clever guys that build our pickups and create our wiring diagrams and everything to make it all happen.
Wow, that's pretty cool, because there is two different complete schools of thought. So I guess we should probably, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to be literally flying blind. So I'll have to go by what you say there, Pete. And I've got this virtual tour. So we tried to test the technicals, and here we go. We got some more people coming up here. Dan, hey Pete, there you go. So we're going to try this.
Hey,
I'm going to
Dan, hey.
I'm going to cut to the virtual tour. So here we go.
Hey Dan, this is the guitar I built after yours.
Oh, actually, yeah. Can you tell us about that guitar before I cut to the little demo here?
Well, this is an OM style guitar with a tobacco Sunburst, and Dan that just came up, I met him at a exhibition in Brisbane, and he played my guitars, one in particular, came back the next day, played it for about an hour, and said, man, I'm going home to sell my Gibson to get one of these. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, he'd sold his Gibson, and
hey, Rick.
I built a guitar basically the same as what's standing there. It's OM, probably a slightly slimmer body, like an acoustic guitar. If you're going to play it mostly plugged in, it doesn't really need to be. A performance guitar doesn't need to be so wide. So these guitars are a little bit slimmer, not quite as fat as a normal OM.
Looks nice, man. That's fantastic. All right. Well, I'm just going to.
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to share the screen, and we're just going to run through these things. So, if you got any questions, please post them, and I'll get to them in a sec. So here we go. Going to do the virtual tour. Just a couple of little things here. Here we go. Sharing screen. Let's hope nothing falls over. And here we go. And is that full screen there, Pete? Does that look okay? You got me?
Yeah, it's got Walcott guitars too are coming.
Here we go.
There. Yeah, I got
here we go. And can you hear the sound?
Not yet, but if this is just the entry to the workshop, looks like it's the connection's not great, so it's just me. There's Dean Caulfield's bass in the background from Colt Seavers. There's the grandfather's bandsaw.
Yep.
Let's see where it goes from there. There's the guitar jigs up on the wall there, the benches. I think you can see 3 jigs there. There's a little parlour size acoustic bass I'm building at the moment. It's got a little trapdoor at the back so you can get those big heavy rubber strings through. Looking at a Gobo Press, that's how you put the braces on the top and bottom of the guitar. It's how you hold the braces while the glue goes off. I think I've got some pictures, better pictures of that. There's the jig for cutting the rebate for the bindings. I use all timber bindings. I don't use any plastic. And there's the jigs on the wall there. It's only a small workshop. It's only there's Dean's bass there. If anyone knows Dean Caulfield, he sets that on fire. I've got to paint it about twice a year.
Cool.
But that's his show. He loves his show.
All right. Okay. Next one. Here we go. Next one.
Customers.
Next one.
Yeah. Well, that's just the other side of the workshop. There's a table saw there and another jig there. And the set of plans you can see hanging down from the top there is for a gypsy jazz guitar I built for Andrew Hobler. if anyone knows Andrew.
Wow.
Great player and good friend. There's just some wood hanging around. Bit of a wood stack there. I've got about enough dried timber at the moment to build maybe 6 or 10 guitars, acoustic guitars at the moment. It's you really got to keep your eye out for the good quality material when it comes your way. And
wow.
I'm not quite sure what's happening there. There we go. Yeah, I'm just hanging there at the moment. That jig in front of me, that's
yep.
where I do the fret dressing. The guitar gets strapped down to there, and some posts come up to hold the neck straight while I take the strings off.
Yep.
So you dress the frets under string tension.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a difference between the neck being straight and the neck being straight under string tension. There's about 80 kilos on an acoustic guitar. I think I've never measured it. I'm just going on. So that's why the tops bow up and what have you. But it's very, playability is something we all want, and most players, is what they want out of their instrument more than anything.
And here's for
it to be playable for their style.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And here's the next video. Here we go.
Yeah.
Where are we now?
This is the room where I do the setting up. You can see the tools there, the finer tools, gauges for measuring heights off the string up to 1/1000th of an inch. We deal in thousandths of an inches with guitars. It's the easiest measurement to use because it's so large. An inch cut into 1,000. So there's a mandolin with a broken neck that I'm fixing at the moment. You can see I've got a nice view out my workshop window of the hills. It's nice. Just the specialty tools, files that cut, 8/1000ths of an inch up to files that cut 150 thousandths, which would be a bass string.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's sensational, man.
A lot of time in there.
Well, what is this one here?
This is a little, that's the little Parlour size bass I'm building at the moment. Just cutting the channels for the, and that's ebony, steam bent ebony binding about to go in. A friend of mine asked me to build a uke bass, and I said, no, I'm not going to build a uke bass because, one, I don't build ukuleles and I'd have to make jigs for it. But I said, I've got a Parlour size there,
body,
which is a bit bigger than a ukulele, and I can run a 25.5 inch scale, which is basically a Fender or Martin scale.
Wow.
And run the thick rubber strings. So it should, on the right hand side there, that's a truss rod I just replaced in a Warwick bass.
Wow.
Truss rod break, so you got to remove the fretboard, fill up the gap, rerouter, and put in a hot rod, a nice modern 2-way adjustable truss rod.
Is that steel or carbon fibre? Is that steel or carbon fibre?
That's steel.
Steel.
Stainless steel, that is. Stainless steel covered in some sort of heat shrink.
Wow.
Just because the truss rod itself can't be glued. The truss rod's got to be able to move, otherwise it wouldn't work.
Right.
So,
wow.
There's a bit of a problem that sometimes when people put them in, they glue them up. And now there's the bracing of the little bass. It's a bit different because the bridge is further back on the guitar than what a normal acoustic guitar would be. So the bracing is a little bit different. And as you can see in the top right-hand corner, the braces that run up towards the neck go through a tunnel of the major brace to let the vibration come through. It's something that I didn't invent it, but I use it and I feel it works well.
Wow. I can see there all the braces are like contoured. So can you tell us, do you use that to tune how the front of it vibrates?
The tap tuning, when you tap and tune the braces on a guitar is an unbelievable skill that takes a lifetime to develop, to master. And I wouldn't say I was a master of it, but I do understand it. And so as you tap, you can hear it a bit dull, and you'll take a little bit more off braces in particular spot, and it'll start to come alive. it'll start to come alive. And it's funny, on the bass side of an acoustic guitar, it's actually the braces spin out more. To get a bassier sound, you need to be able to vibrate that little bit more. So with a lot of guitars, you can get in and work on those braces once the guitar is built. But most of the time, from many guitars built, from Martin, Taylor, all the people, I repair them and see them all the time and see the way they get different sounds. There's particular guitars that have a particular bracing that sound a bit different. Like everyone talks about sustain. They want a guitar with sustain, but a flat clicking blues guy doesn't want sustain. He wants to get onto his next note really quickly.
Oh, right. So different construction for different. Yep. So this picture here.
Side there, you can.
Yep. No, you go. You're going to get to it. I'll come to the middle picture in a minute. On the right hand side.
You can see the middle picture there is the Gobo Press in full flight. All those braces, the only way you can get them to stick down flat is to have a shore from the ceiling sort of thing. That's how it works.
Wow.
And there's a picture there of the guitar in the mould, and the kerfing is being put on. And the one on the other side is the heat blanket that's wrapped around the mould. That heats up to around about 165 degrees Celsius. And you soak the wood. There, what you're looking at there is ebony bindings for the bass guitar. And by the time you bend it around there, all the water's out. And by the time it dries, I turn it back on again, rise it up to temperature, and then turn it off, leave it overnight, and those bindings will be the exact shape of the outside of the guitar. So it will fit in the rebate beautifully.
Wow. That's amazing. I'll just go to the next shot. So what are we looking at here?
You're breaking up a bit there, mate.
All right. Okay, cool. So we're on the next slide here. So what are we looking at here on the far right? Have you got me?
Yeah. Okay. So the on the far right for me is a rosette. You can see a hole in the middle there where the circle jig goes in.
Right.
And I've got very small router bits ranging from 1/32 of an inch up to 1/8 of an inch that I use to cut them, and then I insert the timber and glue it in, and then you've got to take all that down flush before you actually cut the hole out for the sound hole. So all that's got to be done before then. And I think the one in the middle there is the bracing. I'm halfway through doing the bracing on the back of the little bass. And on the left-hand side there, that is the bass. That's the guitar side in the jig being steam bent. And so once it comes out of that jig, it stays. So that's how you build a solid timber guitar, is that you actually got to steam bend everything that's got the tight bends. And you used to have to do it all by hand before the invention of the heat blanket. That's the first couple of guitars that I built, I had to steam bend by hand. But the invention, or me discovering the heat blanket, just turned a job that would take me half a day to steam bend the sides of a guitar. There's probably only 15 minutes working it now.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll go to the next one.
That's saved me a lot of time.
So this looks like a full restoration project, right?
Where's that? I can see the same picture up at the moment.
Okay.
It's the one we were just talking about.
Oh, it's maybe there's an internet issue.
Yeah. This one here on the left-hand side, you can see the old guitar. It's come in. It had a tail piece. It's basically a flat top style, Parlour size guitar. But all the bracing had fallen out. All the back bracing had fallen out, and someone must have pulled it out through the hole because there was only one brace left in there out of the four. So I took the back off the guitar with a heat knife. Be very careful to remove the back, and the fact that it didn't have any bindings on the back made it a little bit easier to get off. And then you just got to clean it up, re-brace it, just make sure everything's sweet. I had to fasten the neck back in, it was coming away. and so I put a dowel in while the back was off. I had the opportunity to put a dowel in there to save the neck joint. And there'll be another picture shortly of the guitar back together. The guy was stoked. It was his dad's guitar. There's a picture there of me, the Gobo Press, gluing the braces onto the back. And there's all the clamps around the guitar is gluing the back on the guitar.
Wow, that's awesome.
And there it is sitting. Yeah, there it is sitting on the chair. Very playable. It turned out really playable. A sweet sounding little guitar, actually. It was well worth the process. But, you know, the thing about my job is, you know, that guy came in and it wasn't an open checkbook job. We capped it at a certain price, but, you know, you could buy a brand new guitar from Guitar World or something for less than that guitar cost to fix, if you know what I mean. Well,
so on my mate, we've got a couple of questions coming through, and I'll put them up in a sec, guys. Sorry, I had to surrender my screen, so I was flying blind. So with my maiden, it is technically what they call pregnant, because I've had it since 2002, and it's been all around Australia twice. And I've belted it, to be honest. So, you know, on the bridge, it's starting to. So on that guitar there, just behind the bridge, it's starting to like get a pregnant belly there. So is that something you can fix?
Yeah, I got most of that. You were breaking up a fair bit there, Doug. Yeah, it's typical of guitars that go in and out of perfect conditions, if you know what I mean. Most nicely built timber acoustic guitars should stay in the humidity around 40 or 50% their whole life, but I'm sure your guitars had naught humidity and it's probably lived in 100% humidity. So they start to move a little bit, and especially under the string tension, as I said, around about 80 kilos. G'day, Len. How are you, mate? Just one of your mates just rocked in.
Awesome.
So that constant pressure, and look, it may have something to do with that, or it may not. But the heat distortion temperature of glues, like a glue molecules, will start to move at a certain temperature, and if there is tension, 85 kilos pulling up, and the guitar's got a bit hot, and those molecules start to move. Then when they cool off, it could just move that little bit, and that could have happened a few times.
Yeah.
You can fix it a lot of the times by just removing a little bit more material off the bridge itself and making the saddle slot a bit deeper. But there's a thing called the belly reducer that you can put in. I've put it in quite a few matins, quite a few guitars actually. I'm actually a matin repairer.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to come and see you, man, to get that sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my guitars, I actually build them in permanently from new.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
I don't know if you can see. You might be able to see.
Let me zoom in there, Pete.
You're not going to be able to see it. It's dark, but I build them in from new. And so do Breedlove. Have you heard of Breedlove guitars?
Okay, yeah.
Really nice guitars. They put a lot of their models in from new as well. And that allows me to brace the guitar slightly lighter for those who want that bit more sustain, and you actually get better bass tones when you feather out certain braces. And because it's got the belly reducer in there already, it actually turns in an engineering way. It actually pulls it down instead of up. It's a very simple device and works very well.
All right, well, I'll have to come
fit them to any guitar.
Well, I'm really impressed about the last photo we saw about the restoration project where you'd lifted the soundboard off. That's amazing. But I have another question here from Mark. What do you think your main point of difference is with your guitars? What sets them apart from everything else?
Okay. Well, first of all, they're custom built. So you can come and see me and say, hey, look, I saw this guitar in at the the shop. It was a Martin D28, a beautiful guitar, you might say. But, I don't really like the neck. If the neck's a bit, I want a fatter neck, and, I really want a tobacco sunburst, or, just certain things that you want. So one thing I hear a lot of people say is the word better. It's not a great word, better, with guitars, because I've never ever played or heard an acoustic guitar that sounds like shit. They all got something.
Right.
They might not sound what you want. So I believe my guitars are just as well built as most custom builders. There are some incredible builders in Australia, but their guitars are 3 or 4 times the price of mine too. They have different styles, and they put different emphasis on what they want to see in their guitars. Like, they'll spend a week putting shell inlays in. Well, I don't have any shell in my guitars. All my inlays are timber. So what makes my guitar, maybe for the person that has it built for them, more appealing to somebody, is that it's built with them in mind. It's built with love and passion for the job. It's not rushed. There's no markup from anyone else on it. When we get to the stage of shaping the neck, you can come in and feel the neck and go, oh, look, I'd like a little bit more off here, or, oh, look, I wanted a D shape, but now that I'm feeling the neck, can you make it a bit more of a C shape for me? No worries at all. And so that's the difference. So the word better or anything like that gets thrown around a little bit, where everything's different. As I said before, some people want sustain, some people don't. You might want a gypsy jazz guitar, which is braced totally different to a normal X-braced acoustic guitar. There's so many variables, and being able to pick those variables is what makes a custom-built guitar a wonderful thing.
Very good, very good. That was for Mark, and I have a point here from Dan. These guitars are world class. I've had mine for 3 years, 5 gigs per week, and sound amazing every gig. Has not needed a setup. There you go, Sir Pete. That's good.
Well, Dan's guitar has one of those devices in it I was talking about. Although I don't expect, anything to happen. And the thing is, with a lot of the old guitars, especially Martins and Gibsons, one of the reasons they actually do get the bump at the back and a lot of things is the glue that they used is hide glue, animal glue, and it has a very low heat distortion temperature. Hence, if a guitar is built with hide glue, it's easy to take apart and repair.
Right.
I have a different philosophy with my guitars. If any of my guitars ever need, say, a neck reset, I'll build you a new guitar, or just take the neck off and put a new neck on, because it should never happen. Right. It should never, ever happen. Yeah, and as Dan said, he's played his guitar a lot, and he picked up the guitar, and I said to him, Dan, I want to see you in 3 months, and that was 3 years ago.
All right.
But Dan, you need to come and see me. We need to give it some love.
Cool. And I have another point here from Marshall, who's an amazing bass player. Total love and passion. Pete does such an incredible work on all basses. Cannot recommend high enough. There's a new one in the air. So he must have something.
I was talking to Marshall during the week. Marshall actually was one of the first bassists that actually came to me for work. And I did a lot of research on basses when I met Marshall. And I just got to say, one of the most lovely human beings you'll ever meet in your life.
Absolutely.
Yep. And just so genuine. And we got, did a few things to his, put a new nut in one, I think, and just got them, going nicely for him. And yeah, look, the word can't be in your vocabulary. Every guitar, if possible, you get humming for that particular person. But in saying that, if you ever drop your guitar off to a luthier and say, "Can you set this up for me?" and they just say, "No worries," and take the guitar and don't ask you any questions, get your guitar and run.
Right, because it needs to be custom set up to you. I'll just zoom in for a sec. I'll let you talk about that. I'm going to grab my guitar. Keep talking.
Yeah. Like, I like to, if someone drops a guitar to be set up, I like to see the way they play, their style, their technique, and even sometimes people that have got a bad technique maybe can't have as lower action as they want if they don't change their technique to accommodate the strings being closer to the fretboard. It's got a lot to do with the relief in the neck and all sorts of stuff. Usually the fatter the strings, the more relief, like a Strat. I'll mention names here, like you all know Mark Bergman.
Yep.
When I did some setting up with his guitars, his necks are straight. They're straight, and he's got such a gentle touch. When I do the fret dress on a guitar like someone like Mark's, up here in this section here, you just take a little bit more away. So when he hits these strings up here, they still sing. They sing. So, but you wouldn't go to that problem that for a bluegrass player that doesn't play up there. You know, you wouldn't do it. Which leads me to intonation on an acoustic guitar. You see for sale new bridges, and the slot's already cut. See, I don't understand that, because I don't cut a slot in a guitar until I string it, and I have a piece of fret wire that just sits where that is, and I move it and I tune the guitar till I get that intonation perfect, and then I cut the slot. Now, if a bluegrass player wants his action higher than, say, a folky sort of guy, then when I intonate the guitar, I intonate it with a higher action. So when he plays up there, his guitar intonates the best we can. But if the guitar's going to be set up with a much lower action, then you intonate it at that lower action. Now that's sometimes when you get a guitar that has a higher action and you lower the action, sometimes the intonation can go out. So I've actually got to fill this slot with a epoxy or something like that, or a piece of wood, the same as the bridge, and then re-intonate and cut that slot. But to be honest with you, most acoustic players aren't as fussy about intonation as an electric player, especially a good soloist.
Well, it's funny you said that, because this acoustic I actually took back to get the intonation done again. So I'll just zoom in on mine. I think you've actually seen my Maton before, I think, when we first met that time.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, at a party at the McDonald's place.
Yeah. So this is my acoustic that's been around Australia a few times. You can see I've worn it out. I was on the Mount Isa circuit for like 5 years, and anyway, blah blah blah. Worn this out. It was like, back in the days, actually, like, I mean, I don't smoke, but there was actually like cigarette burns on there. Who knows what happened there? But anyway, so this part here, this pregnant thing, I don't know if you can really see it just around here.
Yeah.
It's actually...
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
You've probably got about 8 mil of belly in there.
Right, and there's a famous, okay, you can get it in the light there, a belt buckle scratch. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was my belt buckle, but what actually happened is a strap lock failed, and I was jumping around like an idiot, and this is actually a strap lock scratch. Yeah, but anyway, that's what happens when you stage dive with acoustic. However, some things I really want to sort out is I want to put a strap lock on the end of this, because I was doing a live stream the other night and it fell off. And here's something really, really cool. Mr. Tommy Emmanuel signed this for me. I actually got to play with Tommy and went head to head with him soloing back in the day. And there was something else I was going to ask you about with the acoustic. Oh, I have actually had this refretted. I wore the frets out. I'll just bring you back in. I've had this refretted with stainless steel frets, and because I like to play fast, or I try. I'm really, really fussy with how they feel. and I did take it back to get it re-smoothed, but there's like the second fret there's. But anyway, I don't have any tools, and I don't know if I'd really want to be chopping up frets myself about smoothing them over. But do you do stainless steel things, frets, redresses?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Stainless steel. When you work with stainless steel, it's a little bit harder on the tools. Depending on it, I did a stainless steel fret job with one of my students, because I run a build your own guitar course as well in my workshop, and we half worn out a file doing it. So look, and that's why if you want a stainless fret job done, where say you're making to have normal frets put in would maybe be a $400 job. To get the stainless ones in, the frets aren't that dearer, but the tooling and a stainless fret, when you bend it, because when you fret a guitar, you've actually got to bend the fret to the radius of the fretboard. They just don't go in and bend. And if you don't get that smack on with a normal fret, it sort of takes the shape a bit better, but a stainless one will just pop out. So you just got to be a little bit more particular with the fitting of the frets.
Right.
But also too, sometimes in the drier weather, your guitar built out of timber, the timber will shrink slightly, and the metal won't, and that's when frets start to stick out. Here you can feel the fret. And so it's, I've had to do that to quite a few guitars, the ones I've built as well. It's it does happen.
And I just remember that the other question on the face of mine, I think this is like double or triple A grade spruce top. This is an ECW80C, but I've got like stress. Yeah. It's all stressed up here, probably because it's been drop kicked.
Is it cracking?
It's been technically flogged, I think. So, because when I well, if you're getting... Yeah. So is that fixable or no?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to ask is that so when you go.
If you start getting cracks, quite often it's just a crack in the finish. Maiden, like your particular guitar, I think haven't got a heavy coat of lacquer on it, and you don't want a heavy coat of lacquer anyway. So it's unlikely that it's cracked in the finish. Pete,
yep.
Could we see a couple of other guitars? That's my wife.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hello, Sandy. She's upstairs listening to me.
Oh, awesome. Oh, well, I hope we do. But this little racing stripe here.
Hey, Doug.
One day, yep.
Doug, you just need to bring your guitar in, man, and we'll do everything we can to preserve its longevity.
Cool. And then this bit here, this little, I think when I do this, I need to zoom in. I can't even. Here we go. The wide angle. But I tend to do all this. When I do all that. So my point is, I probably need a pick guard above the sound hole, first one in the world. But anyway, rock and roll. Be different.
Oh no! There's I fit quite a few clear Kevlar patches over places like that. No, I always
Robert,
that in the workshop. Just cut out a shape and put it wherever. A lot of people dig out here, and a lot of people, especially flat picking bluegrass players, Stuart Porter, if you're listening, they dig a hole here.
And they probably want to put a volume knob in there.
Yeah, well, Stu's a really good bluegrass player. He's been playing in the Alberley bluegrass band on the Gold Coast here for ages. He's actually moved down to the Central Coast of Sydney now.
Awesome.
But yeah, that D28 of his, he probably taken him 15 years, but he's almost dug through it.
Wow.
He's almost done it.
Okay, here's a question
why
from
do
Marshall.
Some double basses. Yeah.
Yep. Why do some double basses I have played have incredibly high action? Is that because the neck has moved, or is it just because they are just awful from the outset?
Well, look, once again, if you're a slap bass player, you want your action a bit higher. A double bass is a different instrument. Its scale length is, double almost of a normal electric bass. And,
really? What? How long is that?
I'm not quite sure exactly how long it is, but a double bass, a double stand-up bass is as tall as you. The
That's why it's called double.
Is,
right.
Yeah, and it runs in a family: violins, cellos, double basses. They're fretless instruments, and they get buzzes as well. So
right,
and the string is longer, and the longer the string is, the more it's got to flex up and down. And that's why I've put adjustable bridges on quite a few double basses. So you can actually find that spot where you play. Like a really fine player or someone who plays with a bow a bit could probably go a lower action. I was talking to a bass player today, the guy that owns the Warwick that I just fixed up, and it's his first time he's had a 5-string bass. So that B string is 138 thou, like it's very thick string, and it's tuned to B. So of course it's flopping around in the breeze. So if you slap that string towards the fretboard instead of up and down, man, you got to be a little bit more delicate on that string if you don't want the buzz.
Well, I've just got someone.
Marshall,
No, you go. You keep going.
Oh, I'll have a chat to Marshall about that in depth when all this is over and he comes and visits me.
Cool. And we got a message here from Rick. I'd like to meet and talk with you, Pete, about my bass and what I need to do to revamp it. Well, that's cool, man. Well, I'm going to come and see you too about my mating. But I've just got someone from the Philippines who's trying to get on, who wants to ask you some questions. But answer Rick's thing.
Oh, look, just go to my website, www.walcottguitars.com.au. Flick me an email, or I think my telephone number is on there, and just meet up. And at the moment I'm working, just practicing social distancing in my workshop as we got to, and I'm big for that because I want to see my grandchildren again,
Understood. Very good. I've just got sorry to cut you off there, I've just got Kenzo from the Philippines, who's also a guitar builder. Here he is. Hey, Kenzo, how you going, man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully. And you got any questions for Pete building acoustics? Do you build acoustics in the Philippines?
I'm actually listening, and he's really good.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. You're famous, Pete. You got a new fan in the Philippines. So do they build a...
It's a wonderful thing.
Do you build acoustic guitars in the Philippines?
No, I just repairs like neck resets and stuff. I don't make acoustic guitars because it has a different principle, I think.
Right. Okay. And is the temperature or humidity in the Philippines, does that really throw acoustic instruments out?
I think that's the main reason why I don't make acoustics, is because the temperature here fluctuates a lot.
Yeah, right. And do you have any questions for Pete about acoustic guitar building?
Actually, man, I'm just amazed of what he's telling, and actually, I'm really having fun watching the show.
What about, or maybe Pete, you can ask him how he does some stuff, because I've been through Kenzo's workshop. It does it all by hand. There's no machines.
Well, if you're doing neck resets on the acoustic guitars, are you? Or electric guitars?
Acoustic guitars, neck resets, usually on old Martins.
Yeah. Well, that takes a lot of skill and a lot of careful work to do that. That's that's a great skill you've got there to to do the neck resets. How do you get the necks off, with a steaming needle or?
Oh, he's gone. Yeah,
Aussie.
maybe the internet connection is not so good
How
from the
that?
Philippines. Yeah, that's. He's just messaged me.
I could hardly hear.
He's just messaged me. Anyway, I'll just say to him, all good, man. No, all good, sir. We did a virtual workshop tour, and what he does with his electric guitar making, he does custom electrics because he can't actually get the... Oh, here he is. He's just said, sorry about that. No, that's Noff Guitars. That's Kenzo. No worries, man. Thank you. We tried. But here's Remco. Kenzo is a modest... He is a great guitar builder. Yeah, he builds custom stuff that's just out of this world. But what's even more amazing is how he does it, because he doesn't have any first world machines. You know, just mind blowing.
I'm going to have to get the battery charger on my. I'll have to get the battery charger on my phone. Mate.
Okay.
Just give us a sec.
Okay, I'll cover for you, mate. So while you're doing that, maybe. If anyone else wants to drop on, let me know. Give me a message. So, just talking about my acoustic here, while Pete's in the background sorting that out. With setting up intonation, what I always look for is the A major 7 chord. That I can always tell if the intonation's crook. I can tell that immediately with those chords. But with the ergonomics, just recently, are you all good, Pete? You still working it out? Okay. NAM, you're all good now. When I went to, here we go. Take 2. So I was just saying, I went to NAM in January, and the Acoustasonic Fender's got there's like a Strat guitar. It's really, really small. I really like the smallness of it, but there's this resonance that vibrates through your chest when you play an acoustic instrument. You just can't replace, right? So. Are you there? Are you still with us, Pete?
Absolutely.
I think we got to... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm here.
But my question to you is, do you make cutaways? Do you make a cutaway guitar?
Yeah, I do cutaways. Mainly hand Florence cutaways. I'll show you...
Here we go. Oh yeah, Remco, I'll wait to the end and I'll get you on, Remco. We'll have to go through some more of Pete's guitars. If there's any more questions, please let me know.
Can you see?
Yeah, I'll zoom in. Wow.
That's the type of cutaway that I like to do. I can do a steam bent normal sort of cutaway, but I don't tend to do those. I tend to do the Florentine. This is my version of an arch top guitar. It's all recycled timber. It used to be a part of the Coogee Bay Surf Club in Sydney.
Yep.
And it's you've got your humbuckers. It's
oh, so sexy, man.
And silk. Yeah, it's an Art Deco sort of sound hole, and it runs flat wounds. It's so that's the sort of cutaway, and I'll just show you something else.
Yep, that's all good. And I've got a question for you when you come back from Noff. Oh, sorry, Kenzo.
Guitar.
Wee, look at that.
It's got the Florentine cutaway. It's only very thin, as you can see.
You have to take a step back, Pete.
It runs a lipstick.
Yep. Take a step back so we can see it. There we go. Wow.
Okay, I'll just do this.
There we go.
So this is the guitar I play because it's nice and thin. It's got the lipstick pickup, which acts a lot like a Telecaster neck pickup.
Wow.
But it's also
that's awesome.
got the acoustic in it. It runs electric guitar strings, and it's got the 2 jacks. So you plug into the PA there, and you plug into your valve amp there.
Wow, that's awesome.
You're playing along when you want to do your licks. You just roll up the valves and then roll them back. It's nice and thin. It's one of my favourite guitars.
What
And still got a nice tone.
What model is that? What's the model?
It's called the PW85. I really don't, my guitars change so much. They're all custom. There's nothing the same except for this guitar's built in an OM mold. So it's basically the shape of an OM.
Yep.
It's got a nice C-shaped neck.
Wow.
And I'll just show you another model.
I want one of those.
Pretty cool.
So I can do some shredding on it. That's good, man. That's awesome. And
are you Gav Doniger from Mescalito Blues at all?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Gav. It's got.
Okay.
I built one of these for Gav Doniger, Mescalito Blues. So it's got the tobacco sunburst. It's got the F holes. It's nice and thin, a little bit thicker than the other one, but fits there nicely. It runs a Telecaster neck pickup and an acoustic pickup as well, so you can blend the sound in the room. And once again,
that's awesome.
A nice guitar. A few of these, I built one for a friend of mine, Tony. He's the purple sunburst. Here's one. But this is a cool guitar. It looks cool. It looks old school, but it's got a lot of neat
modern stuff on it
that goes with it. This was all recycled timber as well. The whole guitar is recycled timber.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah, sorry.
Here we go. There's a question from Kenzo. What do you think of the Parlour Acoustic? They're fun.
The Parlour Acoustic is a great size guitar if that's what you're into. It's a small guitar to travel with, and once again, it's got a different sound and different sound characteristics. I built a Parlour guitar for the Presidential Blues Band, Dean Morgan, and but we actually kept a Martin long scale on it, 25.6 inches or something. I forget off the top of my head. So the bridge was further back on the guitar, so it was sort of halfway between. But he's a real picker, a real blues picker, and he likes his action a bit higher. He actually runs 13 to 56s on a Parlour guitar.
Wow. That's amazing. And what string gauge, do you set up any light string gauges on any of your guitars? 11s? Do you set up your guitars with 11s?
Oh, look, string gauges are quite a...
I think we're losing you there.
Sorry?
It's cutting in and out, so you'll have to repeat that.
Yeah, what was that?
String gauges.
You said something about string gauges.
Yeah, do you set your guitars up with 11s?
It's a person.
Okay.
Well, that Parlour guitar, because he's a bluesy, picking sort of player, he wanted the 13 to 56s. It's just what he likes to feel under his fingers, and very bold, boomy sound with the thicker strings. Depending on what type of player you like, what's your favourite timber to use? Okay. I really like New Guinea rosewood for two reasons. It has very similar characteristics to Indian rosewood, but it's very accessible because you can't really, it's very hard to get Indian rosewood into Australia these days, and if you do, it costs a fortune. It's readily available. I've been able to buy good stock, good, nice dry timber. When I get timber into my workshop, I don't touch it for 2 years. I don't care what the person says that it's been dried. I have a moisture meter. I measure the moisture content. I like to be around about 10% or something like that. And I still leave it. I'll cut up some sides and some backs, and I'll leave them them for another 6 months before I use them, just to make sure that they're stable. I really like cedar top guitars. I just like the sound of them, but they're better for pickers and stuff. If you smash your guitar, I bet you're better off with a spruce top, I feel. Many would like to discuss that further, but that's just my opinion. Yeah. Guys, good on you.
That's Kenzo from the Philippines.
I've been mucking around with a bit lately. Yeah, love you guys. Awesome. I've been mucking around with sound ports. So you have a port in your guitar on the... it's just incredible. It's like fold back for the player. So, you know, instead of all the sound coming out of the sound hole, I get the sound coming out at me as well. It's really nice. So that's something I've been mucking around with, sound ports. Any Australian wood? Yeah. I'll just grab a...
That's awesome, man. Got your own foldback?
A guitar I built for a demonstrator. It's silky oak.
Wow.
So it's 3-piece back with figured maple as well. It's got a silky oak neck. You can see the silky and the sides are absolutely beautiful. So that's the Australian timbers I use. I use well, really, when someone wants a guitar, you discuss the wood, and some people might just want a particular sound, so you got to go for a particular wood. I think myself personally, and it's been coming out a lot, that, you know, it was either mahogany or rosewood, cedar or spruce, you know, and they were the timbers. I want to get that timber. Yeah, it's silky oak. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's just got that lovely skipple in it. Look at that.
I've got a silky oak tree in my backyard. You can have it off if you want to come from the Philippines and pick it up.
Beautiful.
What? Any other guitars you've got? Any other guitars?
Yeah, I've got plenty here.
So we're doing the best we can with this internet connection. It's good.
Yeah. Do you know a fella called Joe DeLandio from Golf's Backlog?
I don't know, Rick. I don't know.
Joe? Don't know him?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Hello. Anyway, what was that?
Yeah. Can you tell the story about that guitar again?
Anyway, which one? The silky oak one?
No, the Telecaster.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I had an order. The guy wanted me to build, Joe wanted me to build 2 Telecasters. This was a piece of Oregon I just had laying around that I built this one. But the good part about it is it's got a New Guinea rosewood inlay. So that's inlaid into the guitar, not just stuck on top.
Wow.
It's just a nice, it's got a really nice fine grain Oregon neck. You can bet. Really nice guitar to play.
Wow.
So I'd never built a Telecasters. I had an order to build 2, so I thought I'd better build one.
Wow.
So that's my Telly. It's great guitar. I build it with sort of old school 3 saddles instead of the modern. It's got nice vintage pickups, the beauty. So
wow.
The good thing about solid body electric guitars is you don't need a mold. You only need a template. What amp do you use for your telly? I've got a Fender Blues Junior. It's had a bit of work done to it by a legend in guitar amps, a guy called Noel Watson, did a few mods on it for me. I met Noel a few years ago, and we became mates, and just a really good amp build. He actually works on all Mark Bergman's amps, and does a wonderful job. So yeah, just a modified Blues Junior 15-watt valve.
Yeah, Mark's a great player. I'm a fan. I've had a shred with him a few times. I want Mark to get on this show. Mark, if you're watching, you need to get on this show, Mark. Here you go.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy. He's so humble for such a great player. This is a all Oregon recycled timber, basically D28 copy. This is my favourite guitar to play. It just sings and just plays so nicely. It's had a few problems though, a little bit like your maiden. She's been bashed around a bit.
Rock and roll.
So we can get your top shiny like that, mate.
Cool. It's a bit black at the moment. That's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, I really like. I like a full-size D28 sort of dreadnought-sized guitar for playing. I don't need a cutaway myself. What's this? Doug, put that in description. I need the modifiers for my blues.
He wants your contact. Yeah.
Guy.
Here's another one for you.
Okay, where do you get the recycled timber from? My son, Luke Walcott, he's a chip off the old block. He has got a business called Recycled by Luke, and he builds furniture from recycled timber. Oh. Now, I've also got a mate of mine down in Sydney, great harmonica player. He actually plays with the Kelly gang down there. He's got an earth moving business, and he started to demolish houses. So, back in the day, 80, 100 years ago, when they were building houses and the Douglas fir and that came over from America, they were using furniture grade, instrument grade timber and just chucking it in houses. Right? So when they pulled down the Coogee Bay Surf Club, my mate got the contract to pull it down, and we bought every stick of Oregon out of it.
Wow!
Chipped up. It cost us a bit of money because, and out of that lot of timber, Luke would build tables, but then he'd be sorting through and he'd go, "Dad, I've just pulled out this stick of quarter sawn Douglas fir, Oregon, that's tight grained, like it's like it was cut 80, 100 years ago."
Wow!
Great timber, and I've used a lot of that. That's the body of this guitar. The body of this guitar used to be a rafter in the Coogee Bay Surf Club.
Wow!
Look at that Oregon neck. It's absolutely gorgeous. It really is. It really is a beautiful piece of wood, and really nice tight grade Oregon makes a good guitar neck.
So,
two ways about it.
So if the wood was sawn or cut 100 years ago, how old was the tree when it was cut?
Well, who knows? Who knows? But it's nice to recycle timber. I only reckon timber should be burnt at the last resort, when it's had, been a fence post and then it's this or that. But there's so many great timbers there.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
how much longer we got to go, mate? Tuck back in.
Yeah, you can plug your headphones. Yeah, not very much longer. That's cool. You can probably maybe 5 minutes. If there's any more questions, please ask.
Because it's much better.
Cool. Plug it back in. So if there's any more questions, please post them up right now if you're listening. This is amazing. Pete lives just near the Gold Coast and he makes world-class instruments. And more importantly, he has this passion for it. So to help and connect with the customers. So where do you get service like this? Seriously. And I'm going to be a new customer, Pete. I'll come down and sort out my... You can't hear me now? Can you testing 1 2? Hello, over and out the window. You can't hear me? You might just pull the headphones out again.
Pull it out again.
Yeah, pull it out. Rock and roll. Can you hear me now? Testing 1 2, over. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me now?
How's that?
That's cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're really good with making guitars, but I've got to show you some things about plugging in tech. Well, I thought it was funny anyway.
The internet connection's not great.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So,
we'll do it again when it gets better.
Yep. Okay. I think you're losing you there. Are you still there? Coming in. 1 2 1 2. You got me okay? So is there any maybe Remco, if are you there? I think I've got one person to ask you a question. He builds guitars as well. So Remco, if he's watching, or Marshall.
Yeah.
If you want to ask any more questions, Marshall. And then with the how long does it take to make a guitar if we get you to build one, Pete?
Well, it takes me about 6 weeks for the build. In saying that, I don't do a lot of fancy inlays or anything with my guitars. The rosettes, if you can see the rosette there, it's silky, inlaid silky oak. There's no shell. I don't do fancy stuff. I just make a nice guitar that plays well. So I can build them in about 6 weeks.
Wow.
With the finishes I use, the nitrous finishes, it really needs to sit for a couple of weeks once it's polished before I can finish it. So usually if let's say, I've got, a couple of guitars on the go and you said, Pete, I want a guitar. Yeah, it'd be a couple of months before you got it, as long as I wasn't too busy.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that's good.
It might be a bit longer if there's a few guitars on.
I've just got Remco to drop in with some questions for you. So here we go, Remco. There you go, Remco.
Here we are. So there we go. Make the camera good. Hey, Pete, nice meeting you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you. He's got a delay. Yeah. There's a delay. So
a delay, yeah. Now, when Doug comes over with you, I would love to come along and have a look at your workshop. I live in Marston, down the road from Doug, and I build electric guitars. And I also design hardware for guitars. So, But I just like to see what you do in your workshop, if that's okay.
Yep. I think there's a delay there. I think we lost Pete. That's cool.
Couldn't hear, unfortunately.
He just wants to come along. He wants to meet you. But
send me an email.
Cool. No problem. All right. Well, we might even wrap it up there because the internet's getting progressively worse. So
there's a storm coming.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. All right. Well, Remco, I'll tap you out for a sec.
Tap me out. I gotta check out my fence. There's a big tree fell down, I think.
Okay, no problem. And Dom, one more question there, Pete.
Look, anyone that's
you see the question?
What makes a good acoustic? Well, it depends on what type of player you are. What makes a good acoustic guitar? What makes a good acoustic guitar? That it's well built for your needs, I guess. Happy birthday, Jess. One of my daughters has just sent a cheerio. 28 today.
Happy birthday.
A guitar is a guitar that suits you, I guess.
He's a finger picker.
Well built. Great stuff. The finger picker. Maybe a cedar top for you. A cedar top might be good with a, if you want to use Australian woods, maybe Queensland maple, something like that. So it'd be interesting to know what sort of guitars that you've enjoyed in the past, what you like about particular guitars, and what we aim to do is try to roll it into one for you, so you have, all the cool stuff that you want, the sounds you want, the playability. To me, playability is so important. One of my biggest buzzes, being a guitar tech, someone will bring in a acoustic guitar that's never been set up, and they go, "Oh, I really love this guitar," and I look at it and I say, "How do you play?" And I go through the rigmarole of finding out what sort of a player they are. Yeah. And so when they get their guitar back, they're just stoked. They're just stoked. So many people out there are playing guitars that really need to be set up to play well. I do believe the reason a lot of kids give it away is because mum and dad buy them a guitar for $100, and the thing's got an action on it like a double bass, and it's no wonder the kid puts it in the cupboard and can't achieve it. So I actually asked all the guitar teachers out there, anyone that teaches guitar, is to grab your student's guitar, check it out, and advise them on where to go. I do special prices for students for setting up. Set up your guitar with a good set of strings at an affordable price for them, and it's worthwhile for me because they come back.
And I have that's fantastic, man. I have another guitar that I'm going to bring you to fix, and I'm just going to show you. So I was on tour.
Yeah.
I was playing for the hard rock circuit. I was playing in Penang and Kuala Lumpur and Bali. While I was on tour, I bought this guitar.
Ooh.
And it's pretty flash. It's a Rigididge. It's made by Mr. Manuel Rodriguez. So it's a Spanish guitar of sorts. However, you can see, but the electrics are no good. It's a cutaway nylon string, but look at all the binding. It's like amazing. Yeah. So anyway, the electrics are KO'd, and but I would like something to be able to control. But anyway, it's a beautiful guitar. Beautiful. The sound is just dead set amazing. But so I imported that back in the day. So, but anyway, if anyone else has got any, what's Robert saying? I'm rehearsing with Scott. Don't tell him I've been on. Scott. So Scott was on the other night with his 50. Scott over at the recording room's got a 50,000 watt PA in his garage. It's a true story. He's got line arrays, and true story. And this is his drummer. They've been rehearsing. Don't tell him I've been on. And Marshall, very good point. There you go. All right. Well, if you want to quickly just repeat your socials, how do people get in contact with you, your website, and then that's a wrap.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on, Doug. I really enjoyed the opportunity to speak to everyone out there. WalcottGuitars.com.au. All the information's there. You can contact me by email. I'm pretty sure my phone number is there, or I've got a Facebook page too, Walcott Guitars Facebook page. You can contact me through that, or just give us a call. The information's on the website. And I really do have a passion for musos to have something really playable in their hands,
Yeah.
And I have the pleasure of building guitars that are forever guitars. I build a guitar for an 11-year-old girl, and I build a guitar for a 70-year-old woman. They're forever guitars, So come and see me. Whatever guitar you've got, we'll make it sound better or play better or do what we can, or not so much better, but the way you want it. And maybe you just might get yourself a guitar built. But anyway, cheers. Great to be on.
Or stay on the line for a sec. Just stay on the line and I'll just wrap it up and I'll talk to you in a sec. But thank you, Pete. Awesome work, man. Awesome work. I love your dedication. Thank you.
Okay.
Just stay on the line. Here we go. So that's been amazing. So this is, all the way just down the Gold Coast. So when all the government changes their rules, make sure you go and check out Pete's workshop. Passionate guy who just loves doing this stuff. And what blew me away is the major surgery, for restoring a guitar, lifting the guitar top deck off. Like, seriously, that's amazing. So I've got to actually go and see Pete myself. I've got a few things that need addressing. Please like and subscribe. And down here, please also share it with your people. So thank you, Dom. Love the guitar talks all the time. Dom's been, here he is. He's actually been supporting everything I've been doing. And please subscribe to YouTube. Please, I need to get 1,000 subscribers. Why? Because I want to. And there we go. And well done. There we go. Thank you for that. But until then, please like and subscribe to everything that you love. The arts need your support now more than ever because the arts are all going underground, actually. So do it. See you next time. Oh. Or not.